Hey everybody, tonight we are going to do a feeding video on my 125. I just got the glass all nice and cleaned up, and my Ctenopoma is just getting so big and looking amazing. He's kind of skittish and doesn't like to come out all the time. There he is. So I'm going to go over there and try to put a few more pellets in the tank for him, and hopefully it will not scare him away. So let's see what happens. I tried to feed him earlier using some freeze-dried krill, which he used to eat all the time. That was his staple food. And one day he just stopped eating the krill. I don't know why, but he just doesn't eat it anymore. And I fed the tank earlier with some krill, and all the other fish in the tank got their share of it. Even the rainbow fish chewed on it until they could soften pieces of it up and swallow it. And so the rainbow fish got a lot of krill. But the Ctenopoma just looked at it and turned away and not interested. So now it's lights out for everybody else in the fish room, and all my other tanks are dark. I've got the camera set up right in front of the waterfall tank, if you couldn't tell that already. And we're just going to let that camera roll for a minute. I got to run in the other room and check on something, but I will be back. So go ahead and enjoy the view for a few minutes. I think he noticed me creeping back into the room. As long as it didn't scare him away, that's fine. So I got him, I want to say in 2013, possibly 2014, but I think I got him in 2013. So he's at least 6 or 7 years old by now. I got him from PetSmart, and when I got him, he was shorter than he is thick now. He could have hid behind a postage stamp when I first got him. He was probably half an inch long, 3/4 of an inch long maybe. Tiny, tiny little thing. And he started out in my 40-gallon, I had an African themed tank. I had the Ctenopoma catfish I got basically at the same time, so they sort of grew up together. I had a bunch of Congo tetras and a few other things that were African themed in that tank. And he and the Ctenopoma and Congo tetras stayed in that for well over a year, probably closer to 2 years, before I decided they were all sort of outgrowing it. And I went straight from that to this 125. I figured why put them in a 55? That's just going to be another temporary step. I had heard stories about how big these Ctenopoma can get, and I would say for as big as that fish is, I would recommend a 75. I guess you could get away with it in a 55, but I don't know. That's a lot of fish. That thing is thick, and it's probably at least 8 inches long. So, again, it's a pretty significant fish. I would like to catch a fish that size if I was out at the reservoir. I would love to catch a fish that size. That would be a blast. So, again, I would say that a 75-gallon tank would be a good size. Let's get the camera off the tripod and see if we can't get a little closer to him. See if I can do this without too much fuss. All right. The little handle that lets me pull the clip up is broken off, so I got to kind of pop the camera out. Now these fish are sold under a lot of different common names. I've heard them called African bushfish, leopard gouramis, climbing perch. They're definitely not perch. They're related to gouramis, but they're not actually technically a gourami, but they are an anabantoid. They are a labyrinth fish. They do have that same labyrinth organ that a gourami has, and allows them to gulp air from the surface. So they can live in very low oxygenated water. And this one you can tell is a male. If you look at his gill flaps, you will see those little tiny sort of bristly, spiky looking things. They're not very long, but they're definitely there. They're noticeable. Just above where the pectoral fin is on the gill flap, you'll see those little, looks like maybe half a dozen little spines that stick out on the gill flap. That is on the males and not the females. So this one is definitely a male. And if you've got room for them, I would definitely say get it. Now again, you can't keep these with smaller fish. They are piscivores. They will eat anything that they can fit in their mouth. Although I've seen this one swim really close to some of these smaller rainbow fish and is not eating them. Like this rainbow fish right here, for example. That Ctenopoma could easily eat that rainbow fish. And when I was feeding it the krill earlier in the evening, and the Ctenopoma came over, it was checking all the fish out and checking all the krill out, and it just kind of shrugged its shoulders, so to speak, and swam away. And there was one brief moment where I kind of held my breath. I thought I was about to watch one of my rainbow fish disappear, but it didn't. It just kind of looked at it and swam away. So this is an old fish. I don't know what the lifespan on these fish is. I think it's about 5 to 7 years, so this is a really old fish. Although I'm sure there's people out there that have these that are much, much older. A lot of times you can get fish that will far exceed their expected lifespan. So we'll see how this one does. Seems healthy enough to me, old age or not. Alright everybody, I'm going to go ahead and call that the end of this video. Make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss anything I got coming up. You never know what it's going to be for me. That's a little more look at the rest of the tank. And there's the last good look at the Ctenopoma. So thanks again. Like I said, make sure you're subscribed. And then don't forget, of course, this one here is my 125 gallon tank. So thanks again. I'll see you real soon in the next one.